Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video it is going to be another book video, and this is whether or not these TikTok famous books are worth it or not. So I've read a fair few TikTok books and I have a fair lot more BOOKTok books on my shelf right here. I am very influenced by TikTok, so I thought I'd do a YouTube video sharing all of the books I've read and whether or not they are worth it or not. I really do hope the lighting of this video is okay. It is currently like 8 o'clock at night nearly, and I just had this idea and I was like, I gotta do it, I gotta film it. So I've got myself ready, I've got all the books, so let's get started.
I found somebody, I say you don't cross my mind, and she doesn't know that your favorite place.
The book on my massive pile is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I read this last year and this was actually one of my most favourite reads of last year. I recommend this to everyone. It is a hefty book, it's about 500 pages and the writing in it is absolutely tiny, but this book is well worth it. It has a black main character who learns a lot about her family. She is grieving the fact her mother just passed away, and she's also learning a lot. She is actually a high school student that's on a course going to college, so pretty sure she's at Yale University, I'm pretty sure, and she finds out about this magic. She learns a lot whilst being at school about her mother and about what powers she has, and a lot of it rolls around Arthur and the Arthur's like seats and knights and all that. So there is a lot of Welsh in it, which makes my heart happy. If you didn't know, I am half Welsh. My mum and my sister are both Welsh, so I love books with Welsh in it. So there's a lot of Welsh in it because Arthur is actually from Wales, Arthur Pendragon, and so it has a lot of Welsh in it, which really makes me happy. Magic, Merlin, Arthur and the Knights. I recommend this to everyone because this is a good fantasy book based in this world, but it is also fantasy, which personally I like, and it is YA. So brilliant book for fantasy. Great starter as well because there's stuff in it you will know. Obviously everyone knows Arthur and the Knights and about magic, so it's a bit of an easy step in to the magic and fantasy world. So this is Legendborn and I would highly recommend, and yes, this is BOOKTok worth it. The next book is The Hex by Erin Sterling. I know around October time when this came out, or it was autumn vibes, this was very popular on BOOKTok because it's a very autumn book. This is a new adult romance, and this book is also about magic and is fantasy based in this world. If you can't tell, I like my fantasy based in the world we live in. This also has Welsh in it, so just already ticks off all my boxes personally for fantasy. Has Welsh, magic based in this world, perfect. And it has a curse in it, so this person called Viv curses her ex 9 years ago, and he comes back to the town she lives in, and she didn't realise but has actually cursed him. They thought it was fake and it's not, and he charges the ley lines and messes up everything, and it's her fault, and they have to find a way to solve it. And it's brilliant. It's got romance in it. It's got I don't want to be with you, you broke my heart, but at the same time like we're saving the planet kind of sitch. It's fantastic and it has a lot of family feud in it, and it also shows a loving family. So 10 out of 10 from me, and yes, this is BOOKTok worth it. We are back to YA again, and this is The Ace of Spades by, I do not want to butcher that, but that is the name. But yeah, this is The Ace of Spades. This is about racism and about privilege and white privilege, and it's about these two black kids that actually get kind of like Pretty Little Liars kind of sitch, and it's based in Nexus High, and there's an ace, kind of like A from Pretty Little Liars, and they try to like tear these two black kids down and trying to run them out, not let them go to college. And it's basically white supremacists in a privileged college, like high school in America, and it's about trusting people. Who can you trust? Very mystery. They're trying to solve who it is and they don't know who to trust or where to turn to, please check the trigger warnings on this. Personally, I'm pretty fine with most things, so I never check the trigger warnings, but if you aren't, please check the trigger warnings. However, such an informal book, would recommend. This is also BOOKTOK worth it, and I learned a lot from this book. I really did, which I do love, and it is a book well worth reading. I think everyone should read this. This is high on the list of you must reads, and also just the cover is amazing as well, so that's just a point to buy it. The next one is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.K. Cullen. This is actually the American book. You can now get the British version, however it's not as colourful as this one, but I got the American one because I bought it before it was even made into the UK version. It was just in Waterstones and I picked it up because I saw it all over BOOKTOK, obviously. This one is another new adult book or adult book, and it is another TikTok worth it. I think all of them so far have been, which is very normal for BOOKTOK. This one is about a social worker who works in the department for kids that have magic in them. Like I said again, it's based in this world, like most of the fantasy I read, and it's about a social worker who goes to this place in the Cerulean Sea where it is an orphanage, and he has to write a post about it, and there's love in this, and it is LGBTQ plus representation in this. That is took a mouthful. But it's got representation in this. It is really, really sad. Please check trigger warnings again, but my god, this was amazing. I learned a lot from this book. This book was so informative, and through this book I actually learned things, and it was so good. This is another one high on the list. I don't really hear much about it now on TikTok, but I did it at a period of time, so I had to pick it up, and it was well worth it. And yeah, there's so many important skills I learned from this. This is another TikTok buy it kind of one. The next one is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silverer. He's written a few books I quite like What If It Was Us and Love, Simon, I think he helped write. Yep, this book is alright. It's good. This was one of the first books I actually bought due to TikTok. It was on sale when I bought it on Amazon, and as you can tell, it is about a very sad book, and these two guys have been told they have one day to live. So everyone in the world gets told when their day of dying is so they can live it, but they don't know how they're going to die, when they're going to die. They could die at any minute, they could die at the end of the day. We just don't know, and we don't know how or who causes it, etc. And this book broke me. But do I say it is worth all the TikTok hype? No. But if you have it or you want to read it, it is a YA book. I would recommend to read it if you want an easy read or just to be sad, because it's very sad book and it nearly did make me cry. But I wouldn't say it was TikTok worth all the hype, because I read it and I was like, yeah, it's good, but it's not incredible. I've read better books, if you know what I mean. But it's an easy read, quite good. The cover, I would say, is alright. The foreign covers are way nicer though. I don't know why we don't have them covers, because them covers would be well worth just buying it for the covers. Really, really easy reading. I read this, I think, in 2 days. So yeah, it's like an okay one. If you buy it or you have it, I would read it. Or if it's really, really cheap, I would buy it, but I wouldn't pay full price for it, if you know what I mean. The next one is The Hating Game by Sally Thorpe. I have already done a review on this. I've done a quite in-depth review. Basically, this one is TikTok worth it, in my opinion. Maybe not as much of the hype as it was, but it was really good. And this is a new adult book. It has romance in it. It has spice in it. It is a work romance, which was quite nice to have. I liked some of the scenes due to that, but it was worth the hype that TikTok put on it, but maybe not all of the hype, if you know what I mean. But yeah, this was 3 stars for me. I would say go and read it if you're into this sort of stuff, or if you just want to know what everyone's talking about. I would get this, especially when it's on sale. I got it when it was like £2 or £3 on Amazon, so it's not that expensive, so I would say buy it. And I read it in 2 days and it was really good. and it was a crappy kind of book that made my heart happy, and I screamed at the book several times. And it was one of those romances where I was just like so happy to read it, but also it made me so annoyed sometimes. So it was one of those kind of books, but well worth it. So yes, on the BOOKTOK hype. Now I have 3 in this category, and the category comes under Colin Hoover, because everyone on BOOKTOK recommends any and every book from Colin Hoover, and every single person who does is damn right to recommend each and every single one of these books, because I have 2 more on my shelf. I currently have 5 of her books, and if that doesn't say anything about Colin Hoover's writing, I don't know what will. I want them all. They're all amazing. So the first one I ever read by her was It Ends With Us. I actually got it from the library, then my friend bought this for me, which was very, very nice of her. And yeah, this one is about a girl called Lily, and she meets a guy called Riley after moving into Boston. She starts her own business, but it's a bit traumatic, like Colin Hoover always is. And is Riley really the one? But then she finds out that the person that she housed kind of and fell in love with when she was a kid before he moved to Boston is still in Boston, and he owns his own place, and he is a chef, and he named it after her. And so there's a lot in it. There's a lot of romance, there's a lot of crying, there is a lot of abuse in it, so I would track trigger warnings on that one. But Colin Hoover books are normally always triggering, but my god, this was so worth it. This was absolutely amazing. I read this in 2 days. I wasn't in a good place when I read this, so I would like to read it again when I'm in a better place. But my god, 10 out of 10, yes, worth every single bit of the hype. The next one is Ugly Love by Colin Hoover, and this one is about Tate, who is a nurse, and Miles, who is a pilot. And Tate moves in with her brother and comes across Miles drunk on the floor, leaning against his brother's door because he wants to get in, because obviously he knows him, he's his best mate, and she doesn't know, and they form a friends with benefits. By the way, all of these Colin Hoover books you need to be 18 plus to read. And yeah, they form a friends with benefits. She's like doesn't want to fall in love with him, but obviously she does, and he doesn't believe in love, and we find out why he doesn't believe in love, Miles, and why Tate's like life in general, and then everything comes together in the end, and you find out why Miles is how he is, and it broke me. This is one of the only books that made me cry, and I mean I sobbed for like 20 minutes solid. And I do not cry at books, which is really strange because I cry at everything in my actual life, but yeah, this was an emotional roller coaster with every single like 4 solid days I read of this. I would happily read this again. This is so worth the hype. It was fan-bloody-tastic. If you're going to read any of Colin Hoover's books, I would say Ugly Love is one of them. It's fantastic. And then the next one is a thriller by her. It's actually one of the darkest ones she does, and it's Verity. Verity is about an author called Lo. She's actually about to have financial, like, what's the word? Financial bankruptcy, and she gets signed on to Verity because she's been in an accident and can't carry on writing. And we find this manuscript, and we find out about Verity's life, and Lo has to move in with Verity while she's ill, and her son and her husband, called Jeremy, Lo and Jeremy actually fall in love with each other. And yeah, this book is creepy. I read it at night. I probably wouldn't if you're a bit creeped, like you get creeped out easily, like myself, which I have certain books that I do not like to read at night, and this was one of them. But I read this in like 3 days. This was gripping. I literally didn't want to put it down, and at the end I was left like, what's just happened? What is true? Do we know what like, you just can't put into words. And I went onto TikTok, and no, everyone was the same as me. And this book is fantastic, and you don't know what you believe when you finish it, and it's one of those sort of books. So yes, worth the hype. So I have 2 more books left, and the next one is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I have done a more in-depth review on this, and yes, this is worth every single bit of the hype that BOOKTOK has put on this book. I actually got this one gifted, which was very kind, by a subscriber, well, not a subscriber, by a follower on TikTok. And they bought me this because it was all of TikTok, and it literally says on it, the TikTok sensation, which is the love hypothesis. And yes, this book was worth every single bit. It is about a girl and her professor. She's in grad school, by the way, so it's okay. Also an 18+ one you want to read. But yeah, they fake date, and it's all about the emotions they have, and women in STEM and science, and about what she has to deal with, and it's absolutely bloody fandozy. Fantastic. I will put the full review up in the cards and down below for the 2 books in here that I did actually read last month. So yeah, and the final book is Flock by Kate Stewart. So I was trying to read that backwards. That was not it. And this is the first one in the Ravenhood series. Now, I may be on a specific type of BOOKTok because this was all over my For You page, and I was like, right, okay, I'm buying it. Which was the best thing I ever did. Ever. I really want the next 2, but I have been put on by my friend a ban of where I have to read 8 books, probably on my TBR. But let's be honest, I've gone to the library to order more books because they're free and I don't have to spend money. 8 books before I can buy any more books to basically get some off this bookshelf. So yeah, I can't buy the next 2 books in this series, but I cannot stop thinking about this book. This book, I don't know how to describe it, because throughout the whole thing you're not getting told anything because everything's a secret, and there's a lot of spice in this. This is the most spiciest book I've ever read, and it's an 18+ for sure. And yeah, everything's a secret, and there's these boys in it, and you have to basically keep everything a secret. And she's like talks about love and romance, and I don't really understand it, and I still don't understand it, which is why I want to read the next ones, because basically everything's a secret. So everything's just a riddle throughout the entire book, and at the end, the ending, I'm just like, I need to know now, because I still don't understand what this book is about, but I am hooked. It's one of those, and I do love them sort of books because it means I just want to keep reading. I physically can't right now, but I would want to. So yes, Flock, 100%, whatever BOOKTok I am on, worth it, because I don't think many people have read this, but a lot of people that I follow on my For You page have, or are going to. So yes, highly recommend. So they were all the 11 BOOKTok books that I have read, and there was only one of them I was like, you don't have to read it. But yes, basically moral of the story is whatever BOOKTok recommends you, just read it. Even if you get it from the library, if you're unsure, like I do. I have about 8 books right now of BOOKTok books that I'm unsure about whether or not I like it, so I've ordered them from the library. But yes, half the time BOOKTok books are fully worth it. So out of all these books, the ones I probably recommend the most, Colin Hoover, because everyone on BOOKTok is correct about her books, just any Colin Hoover books, and The House on the Cerulean Sea, absolutely fantastic, fantasy, and the XX. They are my top 5 recommendations / author recommendations just because of Colin Hoover. If you did like this video, please can you give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below for more BOOKTok content. I am doing so much BOOKTok content because I love it. Also, uni will be finishing very soon, so fingers crossed, as long as work isn't hectic, you might be getting an extra video a week from me, which will be absolutely fantastic. So yes, you might be getting more videos. If you do want a video every single day, go follow me on TikTok. I will link it down below for you guys. And thank you so much for watching. Please comment if you've read any of these books, what you think to these books, whether or not you recommend other BOOKTok books that I may not have come across. Please leave your recommendations down below, and I will see you guys next time in my next videos. I'll see you guys there.
I found somebody, I say you don't cross